What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is a beautiful, beautiful evening here, Thursday, January 6th, 2022. I got a special guest that's coming on with me. She is the Arizona Wildcats football reporter. Her name is Kim Becker. She's out there on the West Coast. She is a Chapman University alum. She is also somebody who's been a host, works for Sports Illustrated, been a digital reporter, and once again, she is somebody that is working with the Arizona Wildcats as their reporter as well. She's been an anchor as well, and she's also been on the production coordinator as well. So this is somebody who has been in a plethora of jobs in this industry, just trying to figure out their why, trying to figure out why did they choose to do what they did, and also ask some fun questions because I love to get to know her as well beyond the occupation. So without any further ado, I bring to you Miss Kim Becker. Kim, how we doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's a pleasure to finally get up with you.
I know. So sorry. It's just been a crazy few months.
It has. It has. Not just for yourself because you've been traveling, doing your thing, but I know I've been doing my thing as well. I
Good.
recently just accepted a sports reporter position in Minnesota.
Wow.
Uh, so I'm in Georgia right now. So I've been packing up, and I just came back actually from vacation with my dad. So I start in a couple of weeks. So I've been trying to get everything together as well. So absolutely, I totally understand. So yeah,
You get it. You get it. That's the business.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I want to first say thank you for coming on to the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast, Conversations with CD. Of course, CD being me, Chris Drummond. And I want to ask you about your family and how's your family doing during these pandemic times?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, obviously there's challenges for everybody and it's different for every family, whether you have, family that you have to travel to or
Yeah,
you have anyone that's immunocompromised or older. I know that that's definitely proposes some bigger obstacles, but
yeah.
luckily for me and my family, we're very blessed. My parents both got COVID after being vaccinated and they were fine. It was a very mild case. And my brothers, one of them lives in Colorado and one of them lives in Vegas, but they've been able to work through the pandemic and they're doing okay with everything going on actually. So I think I'm lucky in that sense.
I love that. I love to hear that. Glad everybody is doing good. And finally, I got to ask you also, how was your Christmas and your New Year's?
It was so nice. It's crazy. So I had the week of Christmas off and the week of New Year's off for the first time since I was 18. So it's been many, many years since that was the case. And it's so crazy because this was my first year really working like a normal football season. Because obviously I worked the football season last year, but it was COVID. So it was
Oh,
very
yeah.
different. But this is like the first real football season that I've worked in. And it was the first time that I had those weeks off, which is not normal. The team that I work for didn't make it to a bowl game. So that was why we got those weeks off. But it was really nice. I got to go and visit family for the first time to have that Christmas off was super nice with my family and to be able to see them when everyone else sees their family was a treat.
I love that. I love to hear that as well. I'm just gonna jump right into it, Kim. I'm gonna jump right into it. I want you to talk to me about some of your inspirations, aspirations that you might have had wanting to be in this industry, and why did you gravitate towards a career in sports journalism?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up as a competitive ice skater. So I know the whole athletics world very well and how much dedication and time it takes to excel in your sport. I skated 5 days a week for 52 weeks a year, really. I
Ooh,
skated before school and after school sometimes,
okay.
like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I did 2 days. So I'd go and I'd skate at 5 in the morning and then I would go to school. And then my mom would pick me up after school and take me back to the rink and I would skate again for a couple of hours. And then I would go to the gym or I would go run stairs. And then I'd go home around dinner time and do my homework and eat dinner and go to bed and do it all over again. And I did that for a very long time, for 9 years straight, from the ages of 9 to 18. And then
Okay.
when I graduated high school, I actually got an opportunity to go skate with Disney on Ice. So I went and I did that for 10 years. I performed all around the
Mm,
world. I've been to 45 countries. I was in Europe for 5 years. That's why I was never home for Christmas, because I was always doing performances on Christmas and Christmas Eve and New Year's. And I was always in a different country and sometimes a
got
different continent, obviously. So um, I think just that being that athlete my whole life and knowing how hard you have to work, to get the results that you want, and not many people will actually put in the work and the time, but you like to see yourself do that is something that is really inspiring. And I think that that's kind of what drew me to sports for my entire life. My dad also played in the NFL before I was born, so we always grew up watching football. It was always on at my house. I have two younger brothers who played. Like, it was just the biggest sport in my house besides ice skating for me, obviously. And so I've always loved football. And then when I decided to quit with Disney on Ice, I was in charge of our media. I helped with our media for 4 years. And so I knew I really loved that. So I just kind of gravitated towards media once I quit Disney. And then obviously sports is just in my blood. So I kind of gravitated towards that as well. And I have a lot of aspirations in this career. I'm getting a later start. I'm a little bit, I'm right out of college, but I'm 10 years older than most people that are right out of college, because I went and I skated with Disney on Ice for 10 years first before going to college.
Right.
So I feel like I'm getting a later start, but I also know that this career has people of all ages and, of all aspirations really. And, down the line in 5-10 years, I would love to be at a network hosting a studio show or something of that nature. But right now I'm the team reporter at the University of Arizona for their football team. And I love it. I get to travel with the team, be with the team, eat with the team, be in the building every day. So it's really fun.
No, that's really awesome. And I did know that you did do Disney on Ice. I did my research on that because I was like, wow, that's amazing and I actually, to be funny with you, I did a podcast show earlier as well. And I actually talked to someone who did figure skating from 6 to 18. So they were a competitive league for 12 years. And I was like, my God. So it's like, okay, I didn't think I would meet two figure skater athletes in one day, but that's something that's crossed off the bucket list now. So that's pretty cool.
There you go. Yeah, we're few and far between. There's not many of us. It's a very small world. I probably know the person that you're talking about because it is a very small world in ice skating.
Yeah, her name was Kendall Smith.
Yes, I have done her podcast as well.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And so I do know her. I didn't know her through skating, but I knew her through this. And then I know her coach because her coach skated with Disney on Ice. So very small world with all that. Yeah.
It is. Wow. Yeah. She's terrific. She's brilliant. You are absolutely brilliant as well. We're actually closer in age because I did get a late start in college as well. I just graduated last summer.
Me too.
2021, right? Yeah. So
or 2020. So I guess I was 2020. So the year before, but close, very close. Yes.
Yes. So I'm definitely getting a late start as well. But as I just told you, I'm going to be a sports reporter at a publication down there in Marshall, Minnesota, which is 2 hours away from Minneapolis. So I'm super pumped and excited about that for sure.
Good.
You went to Chapman University.
I did.
I want to know, Kim, was there any other colleges that could have stole you from Chapman University that you could have attended?
It's a funny story, actually. So when I was 18, back in 2008, and I graduated high school, I was committed to going to Chapman for their film school and to be in TV and broadcast journalism. I knew I wanted to do it even when I was 18. I grew up performing, obviously, with skating. I was also an actress, so I did several commercials and kind of like public school videos and educational videos. And so I knew I loved that. I loved being in front of the camera, but I didn't want to get a degree in acting. I had an acting coach back in high school, and he was like, whatever you do, get a fallback degree, because like, obviously you want to be an actress. We know this, but it's such a hard career. And only if you make it, you want to have something to fall back on. So that was all that he asked of me, was to get a career in something else. So really I was going to get a career in TV and broadcast journalism because it was kind of like the next best thing. Right. So I knew if my acting career didn't work out, that I could fall back on journalism and reporting. And I loved that, or hosting of some nature. So when I graduated, I graduated high school, I was already committed to going to Chapman. That was the school that I chose. They had a really great film program. I knew I wanted to be in California so I could be close to LA. And I liked the smaller school feeling. So it was all really because I wanted to be an actress. And then the whole Disney on Ice thing kind of came about. And I was like, okay, I'll go do that for a year. My skating coach was like, please do it for a year. You can always go to acting when you're done, or do whatever you want when you're done. So I went to Disney on Ice, and obviously I stayed for much longer than 1 year. I stayed for 10 years. But then when I quit, my parents had just coincidentally moved to Orange County, California while I was skating. They wanted to downsize and get out of the Colorado winters, because I grew up in Colorado. And they were only 15 minutes away from Chapman's campus. So when I quit skating, they were like, well, remember that school you were going to go to 10 years ago? It's only 15 minutes away from us. So why don't you come and live with us, save some money, and go to school? And so that's what I did. So I really don't think that a school could have stolen me away, just because it felt felt too coincidental that the school I was going to go to 10 years prior was right down the street, and I could live with my parents for free and save money. And I hadn't seen my parents in like a decade. So it was actually really nice to live with them and to actually spend time with them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So no, I think that was a very long answer, but the answer is no. I don't think a school could have stolen me away.
Oh, I love it. I love every word that you were spitting out. There's no doubt about it, because it really came full circle for you,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, from the time that you graduated high school, and then you kind of went off and did the Disney on Ice thing in 45 different countries that you visited. I remember doing some of those Disney on Ice shows, especially here in Georgia, for security, event security that I used to do. So I used to be down there, and I'd be like marveling at the ways that you guys moved on the ice. It was just absolutely amazing.
Oh my
I know
gosh.
I can't do that. For sure. I would bust my ass all the time on the ice, that's for sure. But that's why we have wonderful.
That still
athletes.
happens. I still did that. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yep.
See,
Oh,
now
I fell
a little
many
bit better.
times.
I feel a
I'll
little
let you in on a little secret. So we did around probably 350 shows a year per contract.
Okay.
And we had a chart in our makeup room. All the girls had their own and their boys had their own. And it was our falling fines chart. And every time we fell in a show, we put a sticker up by our name. And at the
Right.
end of the contract, however many stickers were by your name, that's how much money you owed. And we had a huge party. So we put all of our money in one pot and we just like celebrated our falling fines party, because you fall all the time. It's live entertainment. You're skating. I mean, it's going to happen. So you just you got to go along with it and play along with it, make it fun.
I love it. That's awesome. That makes me feel a little bit better, because I wall hug like a mug. There's no doubt about it when I'm on ice skates, for sure. I like that answer though. That Chapman, I like that answer. Kim, I want to ask you some of your favorites. And you just tell me off the rip some of the favorite things that you like, okay?
Okay.
All right. We got favorite music genre.
That's hard. Probably rap.
I like it. Now, when you're driving in your car, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're cruising down the street.
Yep.
I want to know what song that comes on that you just start rapping to, that you know the words to, that you turn all the way up and you turn up in your car and people looking at you like, what the hell is she on?
Yeah. Pure Water by DJ Migos. DJ Mustard. It's DJ Mustard. Sorry, not Migos. That's Migos and Drake. DJ Mustard and Pure Water.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. That is a classic. I like that. Okay. Favorite movie genre?
Ooh, favorite movie genre, probably scary movies.
Okay. I like that. What's your favorite?
Oh, goodness. I guess maybe I should say more of like a thriller. I was really into all of the M. Night Shyamalan movies, like what was it, like The Village and was it Signs? Those ones. I thought
believe Signs. Old is the last one that I saw.
Which one is it?
Old.
I don't think I've seen that one actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to add that to my list. To be completely honest with you, I haven't watched a full movie in years, because if I'm not working and I have time to watch TV, I'm watching sports. So I really don't watch movies.
I love it. No, that's okay, because my TV right now, I'm talking to you and I got the Celtics Knicks on.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. That, I mean, everyone's like, oh, what are you watching on Netflix? Like, I don't watch Netflix. I literally just watch sports if I'm not working. So
I feel it. That's my kind of friend to be around. Seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Favorite meal you like to cook?
I'm not much of a cook, to be honest. Also, gosh, I'm really selling myself short. Like, well, not short, but I'm not selling myself well here, am I? I don't watch movies and I don't cook. Let's see. To cook, oh my gosh. I mean, I can make like pasta and like some like saute some vegetables and put that in there with like some pesto. That's always like a good mix, but I don't really cook like meat or anything like that. But I'm spoiled because, well, I'm spoiled right now working with Arizona because they feed me all the time. So I don't have to cook. And then when I was skating with Disney on Ice, I was living in a hotel room, so I couldn't cook. So I just went out to eat all the time. So and then I lived with my parents. So I really haven't had a chance to cook myself, which is bad.
Which is okay, you know, because now you're doing your thing. Obviously, Arizona's still going to feed you. But, you know, like you said, pesto is not bad. Italian spaghetti and meatballs, anybody can make that.
Can't go wrong. Yeah.
That's an easy dish. So I feel it on that. I got two more favorites for you. Favorite place you ever traveled to?
Everyone always asks me this, and it's a really hard question. My answer is the first one that always pops into my mind whenever I think about this answer is Italy. And I think it's because I'm such a big pizza and wine fan. And Italy has the best pizza hands down. It sounds very touristy, but I also really loved Venice. I went in the off season in the wintertime and it was really cool. Not many people were around, but just walking around Venice is so cool to me. I love Italy, but it's because of the food and the drinks in Italy. I also really loved Thailand. I spent a week in Koh Phi Phi and Phuket, and you can't beat it just being on those islands. And they have fresh fish for like $2, that they literally caught like 6 feet in front of you. And it's like the best fish you've ever tasted in your life. Pad Thai, they give you like a mound of Pad Thai for like $2.50. It's insane. As you can tell, I'm a big food person, even though I don't cook. I just like other people to cook for me. But those two, Italy and Thailand, are probably my favorite places. But it's hard. It's a hard question. But my third answer, and they're all kind of tied, is Estonia, actually, in Scandinavia. It's a very underrated country. Wow. It's a very cool country. There's so much history to it. Yeah. The little old town is like a medieval, like cobblestone and kind of medieval buildings and like statues around. And it's just really cool. And not many people know about it. So Estonia is definitely somewhere that everyone should have on their bucket list.
I like that. Italy, Thailand, and Estonia. I like
Estonia.
Estonian. I like that. Okay. Now, last of the favorites. Favorite alcoholic drink?
Oh man, red wine.
Red wine.
Okay. Yep. I'm a big red wine gal.
I love wine too. Being from Cali, you definitely know about our wine. I'm a West Coast guy. That's another reason why I wanted to talk to you. I knew you was a West Coast girl, so that's awesome. Yes, huge red wine. Cabernet is one of my favorites. Yep. As you probably know about that, because you got a couple of years on me, that's for sure. But that's about it. We're pretty close in age. Okay. But yeah, so I love that. Love the red wine. What internships did you do while you were at Chapman University, and possibly any internships outside of there? And what did you learn from those internships that you applied to your job today?
Yeah, so I only had one internship at Chapman because I was only there for 2 years. I did a lot of online classes when I was touring with Disney on Ice. So I got all of my general educations out of the way. And then I also had a lot of AP credit from high school. And so that transferred over to a lot of GE classes. Yeah. So I was lucky in the sense that I only had to go to Chapman for 2 years to get my degree. I was also older, and I just packed all the classes in that I could, so I could just be there a short amount of time and get my degree as fast as possible. So I only did one internship. It was up at Fox Sports in LA at the FS1 studios on the Fox lot. Okay. And that was awesome, obviously. But the bummer was that I started it in February of 2020, and 5 weeks later, the pandemic hit and it was canceled. So that was a huge bummer because I was really excited about that. But in the 5 weeks that I did go up and do it, I got to shadow Jenny Taft, who hosts Undisputed, Rachel Bonetta, who hosted, it was called Lock It In at that time. So I got to shadow her for a week and Jenny for a week. And the other 3 weeks, I did a lot of like logistical stuff, like understanding how they book travel for guests and how they kind of plan the shows day to day. I brought all of the lunches to all of the studio hosts and that kind of thing. So that was pretty cool. Jenny Taft, actually, her and I have a mutual friend. So I have known her for a few years now, and she's kind of been a mentor to me. And she's the one who got me that internship, which was really cool. So that was special. I'm very lucky to have her in my corner also. But I learned so much just from watching her and kind of her day-to-day thing. And Rachel Bonetta, same thing. She had me come in her locker room in her makeup room as she was, in her dressing room as she was I've been in the football world now. All I think about is locker room.
Right.
As she was getting, her hair and makeup done, and she had like her kind of the rundown for the day, and she'd go through what the topics they were going to hit, what bets she wanted to place, what that kind of thing, or what she would go through, because that was kind of one of the first like national televised betting shows, Lock It In on Fox Sports was. So it was pretty cool to kind of see how she learned it and how she did all that. So that was really cool. Yeah. So that's probably the most that I learned, is just kind of the day-to-day schedule for those girls and how they host the shows and kind of what they have to prep for the night before and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. I first caught wind of Jade Taft probably doing the sideline reporting thing, and she still does. I think on the sideline, she's really tremendous at what she does. Rachel Bonetta, first time I caught wind of her was the commercials that she would be doing with the WWE. Remember, she was sitting in there and being a psychiatrist. Yeah. That was the first time I really caught her. I know now she does something with Cynthia Freeland over on the NFL
now
Network.
She's moved over to, she was at Fox Sports when I was there, but now she's at NFL Network.
Yeah, so now she does her thing over there, which is great. She's awesome as well.
Yeah,
So
she's
that's
hilarious.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
It sucks that, that COVID happened during that time, but at least you took advantage of those 5 weeks that you were there and learned something while you were there. That's pretty cool and amazing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And, even when it was canceled, I did my best to stay in touch with people that I had met there, and Jenny and Rachel both helped me a lot. Rachel kind of referred me on to the head of talent, Jacob Ullman at Fox Sports. So him and I have gotten really close. We have a great relationship, and he's been super helpful. So just like being able to meet those people and have them introduce me to other people, and then I can maintain those relationships. That's one of the most important things in this business too. And that was something that I was able to do from the people that I met at Fox Sports, which was really cool.
Absolutely. One of the biggest reasons why I do this podcast is connecting with wonderful, talented journalists like yourself, that has done a lot of great work and it will continue to do a lot of great work. One of the reasons why I wanted to reach out to you, Kim, flat out, you are out there interviewing people, doing work all the time. I even looked you up on YouTube prior to this. I did. Saw a lot of the interview skills that you have, very professional, very knowledgeable. It's not just about, obviously just being a face in front of the camera. No, obviously you're that, but you're knowledgeable about your subject that you're interviewing, and Arizona passionate. The passion comes as well with the job. So I really wanted, you were one of the first few people. That's why a long time ago, one of the first few people I wanted to talk to, because I'm like, yeah, this would be a cool girl to talk to be able to vibe with and kick it with and hear her story about how she came about to wanting to be in this industry, and definitely to stay in touch with you past this for sure. I'm hoping to do that as well.
Absolutely.
You've done a plethora of different things, from production to reporter, host, and anchor. One of the things that I want to ask you is, what is your least favorite that you like to do of those four, and what is your favorite that you would like to do of those four?
I mean, so I've done a lot of production stuff when I was with Sports Illustrated for a year before I got here to Arizona, and I worked freelance for them, covering several NFL teams and USC football and basketball. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I do not like doing, and it's because I'm bad at it and I don't know how, is editing. So that is my least favorite thing. And when I was with Sports Illustrated, all I did was edit. And I do a lot of editing right now here at Arizona as well. And it's not, I just don't like it because I don't feel like I'm good at it. Like I'll spend 2 hours like editing a piece, and then I'll be like, okay, this is great. And I'll play it and I'll be like, oh my God, that's not good. What? And then I'll watch someone else who like whips something up in 15 minutes and it's so much better than mine. And I'm like, what? Like, it's just, I don't have a natural knack for it. And I hate to say that because I really don't mind doing production stuff. And like, I think learning it on having all those skills is really helpful and beneficial in this business. And I want to be able to help in all aspects that I can. I don't want to just like sit in front of a camera and like read something and be like, okay, I'm done for the day. Like, I don't want to do that. I like to be involved in it. But the editing is just like, I like producing stuff, but it's tedious. And it's like you can get to one little part and it doesn't add up right, or like the sound goes, it's just like there's so much to it. And I hate editing. So flat out, editing is definitely my least part of it. Least favorite part. My favorite part about everything that I've done is definitely hosting. I love reporting, and like I haven't done a whole lot of like actual sideline reporting. I've done a little bit, but nothing major. And I find it so fascinating that girls can go out there and do that. I think it looks so challenging and so difficult, but hosting is more up my alley because I get to show a little bit more personality, and I'm better honestly on a whim. I'm not very good with like a script and like things I have to like memorize. Like I'd prefer to just kind of know the topics I'm going to hit and then just go. And I don't know why that is, but that's just kind of who I am and what I'm all about. So I definitely think hosting in any sense is my favorite thing. And that's why I want to continue on the hosting journey for the rest of my life, probably.
I love that. And I love watching you do what you do as far as talking. It seems like you do speak a lot more, just not freely, but a lot more just comfortable when it's not scripted. And in my case, I'm like that too. I just like to rap a taste to people. I don't really want to go off a script and nothing like that. If you know what you're talking about as far as the topics go, you do your homework, why would you need a script? You might as well just go ahead, shoot the shit, do what you do, and hey, have a great show. And I think you've done a great job of that for sure. You talked about Sports Illustrated. It brought me up to a name. You might be familiar with this. She covers USC, Claudette.
I do know Claudette. I worked with her. I mean, there was the two of us, covering USC. So her and I are very, very close.
So I'm also in talks with her to definitely get her on here as well and hear her story as well, because we
So
have been talking back
I'll
and
bump a
forth.
text message. I'll bump her a little text after this and tell her to make sure she gets you in the books.
I appreciate that, Kim. I do, because we've been going back and forth, and obviously I've known of her since last season, because as you do, you cover Arizona, she covers USC, and we had that 7-game schedule or that condensed schedule last year of football, so it was very hectic, games getting canceled and stuff like that. So I've been going back and forth with her, just trying to be as patient as I possibly can, because she is so busy. But she said she'll definitely get on, but definitely trying to pin down the time for sure. And yeah, she's definitely one person I love to talk to.
Yeah, she's great. Well, tell her I say hi when you talk to her. I mean, her and I are very close. I was texting her earlier today, so
that's what's
pretty
up.
cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. What a
Yeah.
small world. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
definitely.
This is amazing. This question here is about mental health. And the reason why I asked this question, Kim, is because people deal with it differently. That's one. Two, it was looked at as being soft a lot of times. You know, people didn't want to talk about it. People didn't want to come to the forefront about it. And athletes, journalists, people of all jobs and occupations out there, especially with the bosses. Because you know, a lot of times these bosses and these stations and these companies, they care about the bottom line. They really don't prioritize your mental health, unfortunately. Now, obviously, you cover Arizona football. You're traveling, you're going places, you're hosting, you're interviewing, and like you said, you're pretty much on the go. You pretty much are working a lot, and if you're not working, you're watching sports. So, I want to ask you, how do you balance your work life, your social life, but also still maintain good mental health? Because I'm sure you have family, obviously, friends, obviously, you like to do different things, but you can only give yourself to so many people at times. You need some Kim time too. So how do you balance?
Yeah, this is a very, very important topic, and it's a very good question. And I know it's something that everyone struggles with. It's not just something that some people do, we all do, in different cases and different scenarios and different senses of the word mental health,
Right.
really.
Absolutely.
To be totally honest, like my time here, so I got here in Arizona 5 months ago, almost to the day here in a couple days. And we were been so incredibly busy with the football season.
Yeah.
Like I really didn't have a solid, like couple days in a row off until about 3 weeks ago when we had our 3-week break. We just went back to work today. Today was the first day.
Right.
And I did kind of sit there over break and thinking like, oh my gosh, in the last 4 months, like I really haven't gone out with I've made so many friends in the building and at work, but I don't know anyone outside of work here in Tucson. I haven't gone out and like just for really like a girls' night or gone out to meet new people at a bar or like anything like that. So that's kind of crazy. But at the same time, I love football so much and I love being in season that I was so happy to just have like my job to kind of throw myself into. But now that the season is over, I think it's really important that I balance some me time and some social time. So that's something that, we did get our schedule today and we'll have weekends off now and we'll have, a week off here and there kind of once a month going forward until we have pretty much all of July off, which is nice. So we'll have some more time off, which is nice now. But I do think it's incredibly important. The one thing that really keeps me mentally stable is working out. And so I will wake up, even if it means that I have to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to a spin class, I'll do that. Actually, every Monday I go to a spin class at 5:30 with one of the coaches' wives, and that's pretty cool. And that's been like the one thing that it was very constant outside of work, the only thing really for the last 4 months. But that's what I do. And I'll even like at night, because sometimes 2 to 3 nights a week, I do a Locked On for Locked On Network. I host shows for them as well. And so we do that after the late games. And so sometimes I'll come home from my job at Arizona and I'll go to the gym at home and then or at my apartment, and then I'll come and I'll make dinner and then I'll do the Locked On stuff. So I always try to make time for it, honestly, probably 5 days a week. I just think that it's really important. That's kind of how I get my mind right. And that's just coming from me skating and working out my whole life. It's just like the one thing that I feel better if I do it. So that's been kind of my crutch when it comes to mental health personally. But I think it's really important for people to realize it. And I love that people are speaking out about it more on social media. I see a lot of people in the sports industry talking about it and saying like, hey, I need a me day. And especially with social media these days, because social media never sleeps. And if you work in social media, you really never have a day off, because if something comes up and your boss is like, get this out there, then you have to go do it. Like, people don't understand that there's a person behind all of these social media accounts. So I do think it's really important for people to just kind of step away if they have to and take days off and take whatever off if you work in social media radio or in media in general, but seeing people talk about it more, I think is a good thing. And we're going in the right direction. And, with the whole Dak Prescott thing last year, him saying that he had mental health issues, and then Skip Bayless kind of calling him out there. And I know that was something that sticks in my mind. So I'm sure it sticks in a lot of people's mind. That was kind of one of the biggest situations that we all really realized that this happens to everybody. And it doesn't make anyone soft. It just makes you human. So I think that's really the bottom line.
Without question. And I'm from Dak Prescott to even a couple of guys in the NBA, and Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan. Really, I'm not sure who kind of kick-started it, but it should have been kick-started a long time ago, in my opinion. It's such an important question because, at least for me, I know for a fact I like walking trails. I like putting on my headphones, walking trails. I like to work out as well. And I also like Zoom. I love a Zumba class. I do. No doubt about it. Now, obviously, I'm outnumbered, and I'm not going to complain.
Hey, who cares?
I'm not going to complain about that at all. I'm not going to complain. I love the Zumba class because it gets you going, gets your heart flowing, you're moving, especially a hip hop one, as the genre that I like to go to. But I like to do those things because it refreshes me and it keeps my mental state, mental, keeps my mental straight. So without question, it's a question that needs to be answered because a lot of people do experience burnout in this industry. And I have heard a lot of people talk about it on my different podcasts that I've done. People have said they have burnt out. People said that they've had emotional breakdowns. And that's something that you definitely want to try to avoid. And some of that is because of fear to talk about it, like you talked about. And then some of that is just you want to do everything. You don't want to say no. You want to say yes to everything. And sometimes that can cause burnout too. But because I think I'm older and I'm not in my early 20s and stuff like that, and I'm older, I think I have the maturity to understand that, okay, you know what, sometimes no is good.
Yep.
And sometimes you got to slow down and be like, okay, I can't do this, and please respect it. You know what I mean? So,
totally.
Now, Kim, I want to transition to this or that. This is what I do with everybody on my shows. I throw two things out there, and you just pick one of them, okay?
Nice.
Here we go. Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Christmas.
Drive-in or movie theaters?
Wait, driving or movie theaters?
Drive-in or movie theaters?
Oh, drive-in.
I like that. You're one of the first few people to pick that, by the way.
They're fun.
They're very fun. I don't know what the hell's wrong with people. But
no kidding. Pop the truck down. Yeah, bring some snacks and some drinks. Definitely a drive-in.
Absolutely. Popeyes or KFC?
Ooh, Popeyes.
I like it. That's my girl. MJ or LeBron?
MJ.
I got you. Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay. All right. You look reluctant. That's why I asked that.
No, okay. MJ for sure.
Got you. Brady or Montana?
I'm going to say Brady. But I used to not like Brady. But after everything that he's done and now watching Man in the Arena, I'm like, this guy is insane. He is incredible. So I have gained so much respect for Brady in the last 2 years. So Brady.
You're starting to see the real Tom Brady now that he's
really do. Yeah. I mean, Joe Montana is obviously a legend. He'll always be Joe Montana, but Brady's doing something crazy with this sport and with his body and with his mind. And it's unbelievable.
Yeah. I have not crossed over to that avocado ice cream yet. Not yet.
No, yeah, I probably won't. I won't go that far, but I'll watch from afar and, admire.
Right. I'm with you on that, Kim. I'm with you on that. Baseball or softball?
Oh, baseball.
Football or basketball?
Football.
Colorado or Italy?
Colorado.
Wait.
Because it's home. I'll always pick Colorado over anything. It's home.
I got you. And I love, by the way, I've been to Colorado before. And I'm a surfboard kind of guy. I'm a snowboard. Sorry. Snowboard kind of guy instead of skis.
Yep, me too.
I like the snow. Okay.
I snowboard as well. Yeah.
We got two more
okay.
sports. These are the wacky sports. Bowling or badminton?
Bowling.
Got you. Are you a good bowler?
I think I'm pretty good. I'm better if I've had a couple beers, but I think I'm okay.
Does it. That typically does it. You know, a couple
Mm-hmm.
beers, you know. Yeah,
Yep.
I got you. Now, we're not talking bumpers, are we?
Talking what?
We're not talking like bumpers, like bowling with bumpers.
No, I can do it without the bumpers.
Okay, I'm just throwing it out there. You know,
I don't need the bumpers.
some people need it. So, you know, I got you. Okay, cool. Last one is chicken wing flavors. Barbecue or lemon pepper?
Lemon pepper.
Dry or wet?
Wet.
Bone in or boneless?
Bone in.
Okay, so you like to eat the bone. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
got you. I'm with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you did good
Mm-hmm.
on this or that. You did
Okay,
good.
thank you.
I like that. I like it. Now we're gonna go into top four. And this is a couple of questions of top fours. Okay. First, I want you to give me a top four of things that I need to do once I visit Tucson.
Ooh, okay. This is good. All right. Well, number one, I would say go to the Graduate Rooftop. It's downtown right near campus, and they're the only rooftop bar here in Tucson, rooftop restaurant bar. And they have wonderful views of the University of Arizona campus, of the mountains with the sunset. I mean, the mountains here are stunning. I don't know. I guess I think they're mountains. Coming from Colorado, it's hard to call them mountains, but they're Arizona mountains. But the sunsets are beautiful. So that's the best place to watch the sunset and also enjoy a beverage and some food. So I would say that is number one. Number two is going to hike at Mount Lemon, or at the base of Mount Lemon, I guess. There's some trails up in the Catalina foothills. Again, just really stunning with the cactus like coming out of the hills. And then you can go all the way up and you can get to this creek and you're like, where did this water come from? So that's pretty cool. So that would be number two. Number three, you know what? I probably should have said this at first, but we'll say now we're getting into football season. Come to an Arizona football game. I mean, that really should be number one, but I know it's only a few months out of the year. So we'll just put it at three just to, make sure that you can do the first two at any time. But number three, you got to do it during football season. But come to an Arizona football team. What Jed Fish is doing here at Arizona is really incredible. We've got a really awesome recruiting class coming in next year. And I think that the team is going to be something to keep an eye on. So that's going to be really fun. So that would be number three. And then number four, gosh, I just haven't really done much in Tucson outside of working. So I'm trying to think of what done. The La Encantada Mall is beautiful. There's some cool restaurants there. It's a beautiful outdoor mall. So I would say go to La Encantada Mall.
Okay. How many miles is that hike that you talked about? How many miles?
I think you can decide. But if you want to do like up to the water, I think it's probably like 2 miles up and then 2 miles back. So 4 miles.
That sounds good. No, yeah. I love that top four. Obviously, me growing up in California, I was always a USC fan. Got a chance to see Bush in person at the Coliseum. Nice. I don't know where. I believe Arizona has to come to the Coliseum next year.
We came to the Coliseum last year, so they'll come to us.
Cool. Well, then that would make me kind of see if I want to come out to Tucson.
There you go.
Okay, I'm gonna have to hit you up when I'm in town, Kim.
Absolutely.
That's for sure. Here's the other top four that I want to talk about. Okay. And that is top four events that you would like to cover throughout your career. Now, you may have already covered an event that was very significant. You can throw that out there as well. But what's top four events that you would like to cover or you have covered?
Number one would obviously be the Super Bowl. I mean, how can you not? I want to be boots on the ground Super Bowl coverage. I think it would be so fun to be there leading up to it, right. The whole week ahead of it and just like do shows out on the street, wherever it may be, whether it's Miami or LA or wherever they've got it set up. I think that would be so fun. So that's number one, Super Bowl. Yeah. Number two would actually be the NFL Combine. I think that would be so cool just to see these guys come in and you get to see, kind of the details of their skills and get to know them in person. And there's, the Radio Row and all this stuff going on. So I think that the Combine would be number two. Number three, which I can kind of say I've done want to do again, is the Pac-12 championship. I did get to cover it last year when Oregon came to play USC. And obviously USC lost. That was their only loss of the season, but it was really cool to cover it. The only weird thing was there was no fans. So it was just like you could hear a pin drop. And I was up in the press box for that one. And I want to see that in person, so I think that would be really cool to cover. And that's all football. Can you tell I like football? And then Number four would actually be the Winter Olympics. So I don't want to do, everyone always asked me when I got into sports reporting, they were like, well, don't you want to be a skating reporter? And I really don't. I've been around it my whole life. It's not a challenge to me. I want to do something that's challenging. So I actually don't want to be just a figure skating reporter, but I think to do the Olympics would be so cool.
Yeah.
So the Winter Olympics, just because I'd get a little bit of skating in there, a little bit of snowboarding, a little bit of skiing, high, like ski jump, luge. I just think it'd be really cool to see that. So
Yeah.
I think those are my 4. Yeah. So 3 football things and the Winter Olympics.
Well, no question. I'm in agreement with you on the Super Bowl. That's really sentimental to me because of my dad. I told him a couple of years ago as I was picking a career because I was kind of bouncing all around. At first, I wanted to be a math teacher. Can you believe that, Kim? I wanted to be a math teacher.
Wow. I love math, so that's
I,
great.
I did too, but
Yeah.
until they said I got to take calculus, I was like, who knows?
No.
Can't do that. So I was like, can't do that. But I remember telling my dad at the table, Dad, I'm going to be a sports journalist and I'm going to take you to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And he looked at me and he was like, what the hell are you talking about, man? And I was like, no, I'm being serious. I'm taking you to the Super Bowl. So it's kind of a sentimental thing between me and my dad for sure. When you said Olympics, Winter Olympics would be cool. I would like to do the Summer Olympics as well, which is coming to LA in 28. So that's in 6 years. So hopefully, crossing fingers and toes, I'll be able to do something like that. But for the Winter Olympics, the one I would like to see is the bobsled. I would like to see the bobsled. That would be
sick.
great. That'd be
They're
awesome.
crazy. Those things are insane.
And then my other 2 events that I would like to do is a March Madness. There's nothing.
Oh yeah. Nothing like March Madness. That is very true. Very true.
And mind you, I actually bought Final Four tickets in the last year, or 2 years ago, I should say, for 2020, because the Final Four was in Atlanta. And I bought tickets for the game, and it got canceled. It got moved to Indianapolis because of COVID. So that was my thing. I was like, so I had to get a refund and all that. So I said, mind you, this year, the women's Final Four is in Minneapolis. So definitely intrigued and definitely will find my way out there to Minneapolis since I'm only going to be about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. So I definitely will try to get out there for sure.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
My last one that I had was college football play.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I'm hoping Georgia wins. A lot of people here in Georgia is hoping that too.
I'm sure.
But we'll see.
Sure.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes for sure. No doubt.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about some challenges. Obviously, you came into it late, as you stated before, but you're doing your thing. You're thriving right now as a reporter. But what kind of challenges have you had to face while being in this industry, whether it's from bosses or whether it's gender? Sometimes people look at women and be like, well, you don't know anything. Like, what's going on? Like, they, look at you differently, which is ridiculous in my mind, but that's how they do sometimes. What kind of challenges have you faced and you've overcame while being in this industry?
It's so funny because I get this question a lot and everyone always assumes that I'm going to say, oh yeah, I've been treated differently because I'm a woman or whatever, but I really haven't. So I do know that it is present in this business that does happen, that there is discrimination against gender, but I have been lucky enough to not see it. I mean, the people that I have worked with have pretty much all been males other than Claudette, really, and a woman named Patricia Traina, who covered the Giants for Sports Illustrated, who is great. I also worked with her with Sports Illustrated. Everyone else has been guys. Everyone here at Arizona have been men, coaches. There's only 3 full-time women in our building. Everyone else is a male, and there's probably about 50 of us total-ish, maybe 40. So you can do the math. There's far more men than women. Yeah. And I have not come into contact with any kind, at least to my face, with any kind of discrimination because I'm a woman. So I don't know if it's just because I hold myself pretty well or if I just choose to not notice it or what
a combination of both.
Maybe it is. Yeah. But honestly, everyone's just been awesome to me, on guys included. Everyone's just been very respectful, and maybe it's just coming with the time and the changes that's coming with this time is that guys are maybe noticing it more and they're taking a step back and being like, okay, I do need to treat her as my equal, but I really haven't come into any kind of contact with challenges when it comes to gender. So that's been awesome for me. And yeah, because I know that not everybody can answer in the same way that I did, but I've been lucky in that sense, or I'm just pretty confident in what I do. And I do think that I'm knowledgeable enough to not put up with it and not let it happen, which I think also goes into play with that. But yeah, so I haven't come into any challenges when it comes to that. Gosh, I mean, the challenges that I faced have more just been personal ones. And obviously
Yeah.
the pandemic, that was a
Yeah.
huge challenge, trying to find a job in sports to break into the sports media industry during the
Tell me
pandemic. So
about it.
that was a challenge. That was probably my
Yeah.
biggest challenge. I never know how to put this because the pandemic and how it put people in their homes and kind of forced everyone to slow down for a minute was a blessing in disguise for me personally, not
Yeah.
because it was a pandemic. Obviously, I don't want any
Right.
kind of positive connotation to the fact that there is a pandemic. I think it's awful and I want to get through it. But the fact that everyone was sitting at home and not going into work was helpful for me because I just cold called and cold emailed all of these people in the business who I'd find online. I literally emailed all 32 NFL teams because I wanted to work in the NFL. I still do. And I heard back from probably about 9 or 10 of them. And I got on the phone with about 5 or 6 of them. And I still keep in touch with like 3 or 4 of them. So that's pretty cool. And it was because they were all just sitting at home and they were like, oh, cool. Someone to talk to. Who is this? And so that worked in my favor just because I got to meet people because they were forced to slow down as well.
Right.
So that was the only like silver lining during that entire pandemic and trying to break in that industry. And I got a lot of really great feedback from people and, people that I've kept that feedback close to heart even now. And I've listened to and remembered, and it's the only reason I'm here where I am now. So kind of crazy. But that was a huge challenge, obviously overcoming the pandemic to break into the sports media world. That was probably the biggest challenge that I overcame.
Yeah, that was a hell of a challenge. No question, when March 2020 hit and everything shut down so abruptly, especially for the people that graduated that following May, like yourself, it was something that it was just crazy.
Yeah.
I can remember the following year, me starting this podcast stuff. I was a little nervous at first, reaching out to people.
Yeah.
And I'm typically not a nervous person. If you can tell, Kim, I'm pretty confident, pretty solid. I love talking to people. But when you are really cold calling, emailing people, and calling them, you really don't want to bother people because sometimes you might send a follow up email. And then in my mind, it's like, well, damn, do I send another follow up email? Because I don't want to be too crazy. But then at the same time, I want them to understand that I'm serious too.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's like one of those things. So I totally understand what you're talking about as far as finding a job. And, that's a great segue because I have 2 questions left. And the great segue is, how did you come into contact with getting the job for Arizona? Did you have to do a demo tape, posting, or how did it come about?
So when I was working for Sports Illustrated last year, which that job kind of was a very lucky or deserving, I'm not really sure how that happened, but basically when I was cold calling and cold emailing all of these people, I spoke to someone at the Seattle Seahawks and he put me in touch with someone who used to be an intern at the Seattle Seahawks, but was then working for NBC Northwest.
Yeah.
And I talked to him because he was a Chapman graduate. And so him and I talked about Chapman and what he was doing. And I was on Twitter a few days later and I was just scrolling through my own feed. And at that time I had like 5 Twitter followers. Like I really wasn't on Twitter, but I was hearing that I needed to be because
Right.
of this industry.
Right.
And so I was scrolling through and I saw that the guy that I had spoken with, he had liked something and it was a post by a reporter by the name of Brie Amaranthus. And she worked for Sports Illustrated and she was like, Sports Illustrated is looking for someone to cover Oregon State football. If you know anyone, please email me and I will like send forward the resume. So I saw that he had liked this. So I texted him and I was like, wait, Joe, do you know this girl? And he was like, yeah. Like we work in the same, she used to work for NBC Northwest. And so I know of her. And I was like, well, will you ask her more about this? Cause like, what is this? Like, will you just send her my stuff? He's like, yeah, I'll just send her your stuff. So he forwarded my resume and reel to her and she forwarded it on to Sports Illustrated. And then someone from Sports Illustrated just called me and they were like, we got your stuff. You have no experience. And I was like, yeah, I know. And they were like, so we can't give you the Oregon State website. Like, that's not how this is going to work. And I was like, okay. And they were like, but you're really good on camera and we are transitioning into the digital space and we want a video on top of every article. Are you willing to work freelance for us and host some videos for some NFL teams? And I was like, yeah. I was like, that's even better. I don't even want to write about Oregon State football, like I'd much prefer to do the videos. So it worked out in my favor. And then So obviously so who this was Claudette's dad. Actually, he is one of the executives of Sports Illustrated. So he's the one who called me and offered me this freelance job. And I was like, yes. So I started doing that. And then he called me a few months later and he was like, my daughter is going to start running the USC site. Since you are also in Orange County, do you want to help her with it? Kind of get it off the ground running. And I was like, yeah. So her and I started that together. She was the publisher. I just contributed a few articles a week. And then we started a podcast. We didn't get it quite fully going just because of everything that was going on and our schedules and this and that. I was also working a full-time job in retail to pay the bills. So I was like very busy.
I feel it.
Yeah, it was crazy. So her and I did this podcast, and one of the first guests that we had on it was Yogi Roth from Pac-12 Networks, because they're a good family friend and Claudette knows him and he knows her dad. And so he came on to talk about Pac-12 football and USC football. So him and I met each other just virtually like this. And then, fast forward to July of this year. So about 8 months later, I was helping Sports Illustrated cover the Elite 11 camp in Manhattan Beach.
Right.
So I was there and I was doing a lot of recruiting stuff with the Sports Illustrated recruiting department, doing interviews with the high school quarterbacks and this and that. And then Yogi Roth was there because he helps run Elite 11. And so he was just chatting with me. And it was the first time him and I had met in person, actually. And he was like, because of the pandemic and all the virtual stuff we were doing, but he was like, so are you enjoying your time at Sports Illustrated? Do you like this job? And I was like, I like it. I really like it, but it's freelance and I'm still working 5 days a week at Lululemon to pay the bills. Like I still have a full-time retail job. I want a full-time job in sports. Like that's what I want.
Yeah.
And so he said, he was like, I do know of something that's open. Would you be willing to move to Tucson, Arizona? And I was like, sure. And that was one thing I always told myself was never say no to anything. So I was like, yeah, sure. Like, what's the job? Tell me more.
Right.
So he told me that, Jed Fish, the new head coach here, he was starting this whole media department at the University of Arizona. And the reporter that he had hired initially, Danny Rogers, she got a job with the Lions, the Detroit Lions. So she went on to Detroit. So they need to replace Danny. And he was like, are you interested? And I was like, hell yeah. So he actually referred me to the job. And then they emailed me a couple weeks later and I did 3 interviews and then they offered it to me.
That is crazy. I do know Danny as well.
Yeah.
I did talk to her while she was there at the University of Arizona.
You did?
Yeah, she's a Michigan alum.
Yeah.
I do know that. And yeah, we spoke briefly and I still keep in touch with her every now and then. Now she's off doing her thing, like you said.
She's busy. She's a busy girl. Yes.
Yeah, she's doing her thing now. So that is great. That's incredible how you got that job like that.
I know it's happened so fast. And I love talking to people like you and doing these podcasts because it reminds me how fast it happened, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm 30. Like I'm older than everyone here, I need to go. But it's everything that I've done has happened in the last year and a half. So it has happened really fast.
Absolutely. No question. Now I want to get you out on here. And this is advice. What advice has someone gave you, I should say, or you have allocated for someone about being in this sports media industry field that you hold on dearly
to? Be yourself. That is it, because it's so easy with social media these days to start looking at other girls' profiles, start comparing myself to these other girls, seeing that maybe this girl is way better at asking a question like this, and why aren't I asking a question like this, or why is she saying it this way, and why am I saying it that way? Right. So just be yourself, and that's what's going to get me and you and everyone else a job, is because you're different than the last person. They don't want, these companies and networks, they don't want a replica of the same person they already have on their screen. They want someone different. And I think that's really important. And I'm a victim of it too. I get sucked into rabbit holes, sometimes when I'm just laying in bed or I'm on Instagram and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's really pretty. Oh wait, she's really good at this. Why are, it happens, and it's just a natural thing where you want to compare yourself to the next person. But I really try to not do that, because it's the only reason I am where I am is because I'm different. And so I want to make sure that I continue to just be myself and be different. And that is the advice that stuck with me, and the advice that I will carry on. And it's something that both Jenny Taft and Rachel Bonetta told me, actually, because I remember when Rachel watched my tape first, she was like, you're not like a sideline reporter. You're pretty funny. This is the stuff people want to see, you want to see the fun stuff. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Cause at that time I was trying really hard to be serious, and because I'm not very good at being serious, I'm getting a little bit better, I think, but it was harder for me. I think just because of that performer that's inside of me, but but I was like, okay. So I was watching all these girls and she was like, no, just do you. Don't even think about it. And Jenny said the same thing to me. And I think that's like really stuck with me. And multiple other people have said it as well, but that's something that's really stuck with me. And I think it's something that I try to tell others as well.
Yeah, I mean, as a male, I see Stephen A. Smith, I see Scott Van Pelt, I see some of these big time wigs at these stations, and it's like, man, you want to equate their success, but you don't want to equate their personality. You kind of want to be yourself, and I love that. But it's so hard because you're like, well, damn, they made it by being them. So maybe if I do try to be a little something like them, maybe I can get on that level too. Why not? You know what I mean? But
Right.
you're absolutely right. That's great advice for being yourself. Quick story I'll tell you before I let you go. It's about my internship. This is how I realized that I need to go a different path. I did an internship with the Knoxville Ice Bears, and I did this about a few years ago. And I had to take the megabus. I had to take the megabus from Atlanta to Knoxville. And I did this for 3 months while I was working full time with the lottery, and I was also full time in school, but my school was fully online. I used to I had to get driven to the MARTA station that we have out here in Georgia, and I would pay for the megabus tickets to go there. I worked Sunday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and I also did had Friday, Saturdays off where I would work with the Knoxville Ice Bears. Now I did this for 3 months, and mind you, it was crazy. But this is when I realized that I need to kind of focus on something that I really want to do. I wanted to work with a sports team really bad. But this was it was an internship that, wasn't paid. And I had to pay for my own hotel. And I had no car, as I tell you, taking the megabus. So I did this for 3 months and I was about to quit. And I realized that I never quit anything in my life. And I didn't want to quit, but it was very hard to do. I was on foot everywhere I went, or I was on transit everywhere I went, trying to find into a new city. I never been to Tennessee prior to that.
Wow.
And I got the internship from the Falcons career fair. It made me realize that one, I did not want to do a game day operation because that was an internship.
Yeah.
And two, it made me realize I don't want to do anything like hard wise as far as with the team. I want to be like interviewing people and I want to be doing like videos, but I don't want to do no kind of manual kind of labor where I got to walk on ice or stuff like that or peel like chucker pucks. In hockey, they do chucker pucks. I'm not with that chucker puck stuff, so I didn't want to do that. So it made me realize that internship was the only internship I did. I want to do something on the writing side, video side, picture side, that kind of journalism, broadcast journalism, print journalism. I wanted to go that route. And that internship made me go the route that I went. And I decided to go that route. Now, I found my job through Pantheon. Have you ever heard of that website?
I have not.
It is it's called a 30 newsletter. So the Pantheon sends out all these different kind of sporting jobs every single week, sometimes twice a week. In different places. Sometimes it's publications, sometimes it's stations, sometimes it's just companies, ESPN. But they sent out a whole list of jobs, and that's actually how I found my job in Marshall, Minnesota, which I applied. Cool. I was shocked, Kim, when they called me because I was like, I did not know what 507 area code was. I was like, what is it? So I answered it, and that's how I got the job, and that's how I got everything. So that's a little bit of my story right there about how I came into it, for sure. I follow you on LinkedIn. I follow you on Instagram. I won't follow you on Twitter because you don't use that a whole lot. But I will.
I do now. I have to use it now. Oh yeah. Cool. Okay. I do now.
So Twitter, those are my main three that I use: Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. You can follow me back if you like to, but I will continue to follow your journey, your success as an Arizona Wildcats football reporter. And I really do appreciate your time, Kim. I really do appreciate you hopping on my podcast. You are so fun to talk to. I can just imagine what you are in person. No doubt about it. But as you know, the title of this is Work Hard, Play Hard, and I live by that mantra.
Me too.
So, with that being said, as I end all of my podcasts with this, is there anything else you would like to add before we conclude?
I think just, it's so cliche, but this business really is about who you know and maintaining those relationships and working hard and grinding hard. But I think, and I'm so glad that we just ended saying that your podcast is called this: work hard, play hard, still make sure that you're playing hard, because life is really short. And I just want people to remember that as well.
I love it. I love it. Now, I'm going to keep in touch with you. Once I touch down in Tucson, I'm going to hit you up for sure, unless you want to move. But
You
you
got
definitely want to,
it.
that's for sure.
I'll
No
let
doubt.
you know.
Absolutely. You take care. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night, Kim, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much, Chris. Have a good one.
All right, you too now. Take care.
Yeah.